Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm Christa Wessel from your favorite radio station, which is All Classical FM 89.9. Yay! Thanks for coming tonight. You're in for an amazing, amazing evening, and we want to talk a little bit about the concert in this next half an hour. But a quick show of hands, how many of you have actually ever talked with an Oregon Symphony musician? Oh, a decent number. This is good. Here's another chance. This is Erin Furbee, who is the assistant concertmaster of our Oregon Symphony.
Hi. Christa said, I've been here, this is my 10th year, starting this week, actually. It's my 10th year anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yes, definitely. And so she's got a wealth of information about this orchestra under her belt, and we want to open this up for question and answers, maybe halfway through this 30-minute period. So maybe think about what questions you would have about how this symphony works, what it's like to play for Carlos, what it's like to play with Emanuel Axe, what it's like to play in this hall. Just, if you've got a question you've always wanted answered about the Oregon Symphony, well, how about if we do questions in about 15 minutes or so? I'll give you a little bit of chance. I love the eagerness, though. That's good. So let's talk a little bit about your background first. You didn't just appear here on the stage of the Schnitzer out of thin air, I don't think.
Yeah, I started the violin when I was 4 years old. My mom was a Suzuki violin teacher. I didn't study with her, but she made me get up at 5 a.m. every morning, practice for an hour. So, yeah.
Is it something that you wanted to do, though? Did you enjoy it as a kid?
I think as you're 4 years old, you don't know, any differently. And so I didn't know. And I think by the time I was 18, I couldn't imagine not doing it. It was like a part of me by then. My brother and sister felt differently about it. We all studied together. So they're not musicians, but I ended up being the one.
They were younger than you?
We were in between. We were all a year and a half apart. I'm the middle child.
So by the time you're 18, you decide music is for you. You go off to music school.
Yeah, I went to University of Michigan and then transferred down to Rice University, where I got my bachelor's degree, and then went to University of Minnesota for graduate school.
And you have a graduate in violin performance?
Well, I was 10 credits away from my master's degree when I got a job in the Colorado Symphony. So I moved to Denver. It was nice to get a job.
That must be a tough decision. You put in all this work and money towards a degree, then there's this job facing you. Was it a hard decision to leave?
Not at all, really. It was a job, And in orchestras, it doesn't matter if you have a degree or not. You're behind a screen. The audition process is you send a resume in, and then they look through them, and you're behind a screen for the first round and the second round. And the third round, in this orchestra, they take the screen down. But you have a little carpet you walk out on, so they don't know if you're male or female with the high heels. And yeah, it's very fair. It's great.
You're describing the Colorado Symphony for that?
This orchestra's audition. Oh. Yeah, in Colorado Symphony, they leave the screen up the entire time, so they never see you. They do see your resume in the finals, but yeah.
Interesting. So from Colorado, then you bounced?
Then I went to Milwaukee Symphony, Wisconsin for a year. And then I was runner-up for a permanent job, and so they offered me a one-year position. And then I got this job after I went back to Denver and then came here.
What was it about the Oregon Symphony that made you want to audition?
It's such a beautiful place. It's beautiful. And, the hall here is really amazing. And James DePriest was here my first 2 years, I guess. He's a great human being. And then Carlos came, and it's been amazing ever since. I'm an outdoors girl, too, so I like to bike, usually bike to work. I didn't tonight because my hair has to look okay. but normally I do bike even to the concerts, and I like to hike and cross-country ski and scuba dive, and I don't know, a lot of things.
The reason she was mentioning her hair, by the way, is we're videotaping this tonight. So if you know of somebody who wasn't able to come tonight, or you yourself want to rewatch this, it'll be posted on the All Classical website starting tomorrow, I believe. So you can go to allclassical.org and watch it again if you so choose. She's got a secret life.
Yeah, about that. I don't know. My second musical passion is tango music. So when I was in Denver, I have a friend, Evan Orman. He's a cellist and bowmaker, and he introduced me to the music of Astor Piazzolla. I'm not sure if any of you have heard his music. It's amazing, and if you haven't, you have to come this next Tuesday night. We're doing the Symphony is sponsoring a tango show 7:30 with a tango orchestra from Argentina and dancers. And I'm really excited about it because it's very rare to be able to hear a group like this come. And they'll have a bandoneon, which is a very difficult instrument to play. It's like an accordion, but it has buttons on each side, like 35 buttons. And it's not like A, B, C, D. They're not consecutive. It's A, B, C, D. I mean, they're not related at all. So I say it's like learning 4 typewriters, keyboards. Because when you push in, it's a different note as when you pull out, too. And so my friend Evan taught himself how to play this instrument. And we went to a little dance hall in Denver, and they said, well, you guys play very well, but it's not dance music. Piazzolla is for show. The dancers can't follow the rhythms. And so they sent us down to Argentina to learn how to play the dance music properly. So it was really nice.
Sound like punishment, but
yeah, I know. They made us go for a month. We studied the music, and we had to start back in the 1800s when tango sort of began, late 1800s, and move our way up. Sort of like classical musicians, we start with Mozart or Bach, the early music, and then work our way up. So here in Portland, I'm in 2 tango bands. Last night I had a gig. I got out at like 12, and after our show here. And we play for dancers. And then I also have my own band called Tango Pacifico, which plays music of Piazzolla. And I actually have a CD here that's out in the lobby if you guys want to purchase it. I could sign it, in between the shows here.
Yeah, after our chat, Erin will very kindly go out to the Music Millennium table and sell copies of her tango CD and sign them as well, which is amazing because she should be on stage warming up, but she's willing to do this for you guys. And mentioning the Music Millennium table, I should also make a point that they're out there selling Emanuel Axe CDs. Mr. Axe will be, after the concert, signing those CDs for you too, so don't just scurry right out, stop by and say hi to the artist. Well, let's talk about our guest artists.
Sure.
Before we open up for questions. We've got a different conductor on the stage, a guest conductor named Emanuel, who is becoming really quickly world-renowned for his operatic conducting. He's conducted at the Met and other places worldwide. And it's nice to have him on stage here. To me, he typifies almost like the opposite of your stereotypical conductor. I don't know what you imagine when you imagine an orchestra conductor. Somebody with big hair like Carlos, probably. But this man is very different in stature and style. It's been fascinating to watch. What's it like to work with him?
It's really great. Well, you'll hear him speak. He's going to talk about the pieces before the concert. And he's just a really big guy and really fun and a little bit silly. You'll see. Very French. And just talking about the pieces, he talks about the Brahms. A lot of us have played it many, many times, and tonight it's amazing. And he says, I know you guys have played this many, many times, but feel that it's a different day, a different piece, and it really made me think about that. And it is different every time, and to really listen. And he's got very big gestures. Carlos is, more precise, and he dances a lot. And I think now I realize, because he's an opera conductor, that he has those big gestures so that the singers can see him. I was wondering why his arm gestures are as large as they are.
Yeah, when I've seen him, Emanuel, it almost looks like he's swimming through the music. They are very grand, sweeping gestures, and it's beautiful, beautiful to watch. How is he personally? I don't want to say how is he compared to Carlos interacting, but it must be difficult. You get so used to Carlos and his style because you're here with him most every week, and then you have somebody new pop in. How do you get adjusted to that? What are the differences in working with a guest conductor?
The first day it was a little difficult, because Carlos is here a lot and we're really used to him. But after probably the first rehearsal, we acclimated to him very easily. It wasn't hard.
Does he ask for different things from the orchestra than Carlos does?
Yes, and in different ways. Note lengths and things like that he addresses in a different way, different manner.
So I think the last time the Oregon Symphony played the Brahms concerto, it was with Carlos, and this time you're with a different conductor. Although there's 3 or 4 years separating the performances, I don't suppose you remember the details that Carlos asked for. I'm putting you on the spot. Yeah. Okay. Well, also interesting, I was really fortunate to get to see a rehearsal on Thursday. And I don't know why it surprised me to see how integral Emanuel Axe was into the conducting of that rehearsal, too. He really He got up a little bit and kind of led you through.
Yeah, he got up and said to violins, this place here should be a little less forte, and then you grow up in, and it wasn't really marked in the part, but it was wonderful to hear from the soloist, because often we don't. They'll talk to the conductor, or some of them whisper things, and we don't know what's going on. But he was really open, and it's really great to work with him. It's my first time. He's amazing.
He's just gentle, cherubic spirit. It's really lovely just being in his presence. You can just tell he's a happy musician. And Erin and I were talking. Emanuel has a blog, and on that blog, he talks about applause between movements.
Yes, he really likes it. He says, especially if it's loud, a loud ending and big, he enjoys when people clap in between movements. So it's okay to do it, as long as they clap at the end too. Really important.
So don't use it all up midway through the performance. One thing that you'll see too in the Brahms Concerto with Emanuel in the third movement, which is the slow andante, it's just achingly gorgeous. There is a really important role for the cello played by our principal cellist, Nancy Ives, and she does such a remarkable job. This Brahms Concerto is not like a flashy concerto where the piano has all the hard stuff. The Brahms Concerto is more like a piano symphony. All the instruments are working hard. And so it's really nice that Emanuel takes the time, you'll see this probably tonight, to acknowledge Nancy Ives and her contribution to the work. You want to say what he did last night?
Yeah, he brought her up, and in Salem, we played this on Friday night in Salem. He brought her up to the front and had her bow with him several times. Yeah, nice.
A very giving musician. Well, there is the first piece in the program that you heard tonight is an opera overture, which is important in its own right, and I hesitate to talk too much about it since our conductor tonight will say a few things about it, but just to say this is a very important overture in the history of music. It used to be that opera overtures were just kind of filler. Latecomers can be seated during the overture. They won't miss anything. The overture to Freischütz was one of the first operas to include themes from the opera into the overture to kind of clue you in, get you used to hearing these melodies. So it's a great workout for the French horns too, which I love. Then the second piece in the program is a new work by a living composer, Marc-André Dalbavie, and it's called, it looks like Color is the title, but I believe it's pronounced Color. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to have Erin talk a little bit about not only this piece, what it sounds like, but the difficulties in performing this work.
Yeah, the opening starts just with the strings, and we're playing harmonics. I'm not sure if everybody knows what those are. Where you place your finger, you don't put it right down on the string. It's lightly held on the string, so it has a ringing quality to it. And it's very difficult to do. I think for string playing that softly, it's like 4 pianos, marked pianissimo. And so we just have to hold that for, I don't know,
ever?
50 bars, yeah. And then the flutes come in softly, the little thing, and the brass, and then it eventually grows, percussion's added, and it's quite an amazing piece. It's kind of layering, sounds a little bit like Stravinsky, the Rite of Spring in one spot, and Debussy, things like that.
One interesting quote I read about this composer was that he said, it's a shame that a lot of modern music requires you to look at the score to really understand what's going on structurally. He wanted to get rid of that concept and just have you understand what's going on sonically. So it's not going to be a huge mental challenge to understand this piece. It's all about listening and enjoying. Mm-hmm. There's a common thread through this piece, too. We're talking about harmonics, overtones. There's a predominant note going through this piece, Color. It's a G, and it almost like it just thrums at some point, G, 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 and the orchestra plays around that, over it, with different instrumentation, and you can just hear different overtones, different sounds from the instruments. It's 20 minutes long, and it sounds like hearing G, 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 G over again might be tiring, but what he does sonically, weaving in and out of this note, is really quite fascinating. And it's a huge orchestra, from what I understand, too.
It is. They have percussion, many extra percussion are added. And
I saw, if you look in the scoring in your program notes for this piece, Color by Dalbavie, there was an instrument listed in the ranks of the percussion. There's all kinds of percussion. There's one I didn't recognize. I think it was called a tumba, T-U-M-B-A, and I had to ask Neil DuPont, the percussionist, what the heck is that? I don't even know if I see it yet. It's like a an oversized conga drum. So if that gives you any idea what you're in store for. An oversized conga drum. Uh-huh. We'll see if it appears. So with that, we've covered a little bit of all the pieces. Like we said, Emanuel will talk a little bit more from the stage. I know Erin is eager to take questions. We had some really interesting questions last night from our pre-concert audience about what it's like to work in an orchestra, what it's like to be a concert violinist. I'm always interested about the injuries violinists sustain. They always seem to be chronically crooked.
Yes, we have neck problems, and I wish maybe they should start us on the violin learning both sides. Turning it, playing two violins, so at least you'd be equal. Because one shoulder's higher than the other, because we play like this. I've got some neck problems. I have to go to yoga quite a bit. And some arms, not usually. I'm pretty good with the arms.
Actually, can I start the questions? Do you mind? You're the assistant concertmaster. Jun Iwasaki is the concertmaster. He sits in this front seat. Peter Ferjola is the associate concertmaster. He sits right next to June. And then you sit right behind June as the assistant concertmaster. Right. Now, what are the differences between concertmaster, associate, and assistant?
So June's the full-time concertmaster, and then when he's out for a lot of the pop shows, so Peter moves over, and he's concertmaster for those shows. And then I'll move over if neither of them are playing for, like, perhaps the kids' shows or a pop show or two. So I was telling someone last night I have the best job in the orchestra because I get to sit first chair, but not all the time because that would be too stressful for me. And get to put bowings in now and then. So it's pretty good. Yeah. And I pass back comments when, June will give me comments to the rest of the section. So that's my job.
Oh, can I ask one more? Do you mind? The rest of the violins seem like they rotate throughout the section. You three always stay in those three positions, but the rest of you move, and I don't understand how or why.
About 7 or 8 years ago when Carlos came, he wanted the orchestra to move around more. And when I played in Colorado Symphony, I was in the section violins, and we moved every 2 weeks. We moved to a different chair in the first or second violins. So we had to learn different parts. And here, everyone was in a fixed chair when I first came. And so some of the players are still in their fixed chairs. A few of them have chosen to stay there. And then others, all the new players have to rotate when they come in. So,
do you like rotate? What are the benefits and drawbacks?
I do like it. When I was in Milwaukee Symphony, I was in the back of the second violins, and it was near the timpani and the cymbals and the piano, and I was going crazy. So it really hurt my ears, and I just think it's best for everybody to get to sit with different people. You learn from all different stand partners. I mean, I like it because I'm third chair, so I get to sit with everyone anyway, because people sit in the fourth. So I still kind of have rotation.
I imagine that just being a French horn player, we're all pretty much in that same spot week after week. And I imagine moving and getting adjusted to a new sight line for the conductor might be...
in Denver I got used to it, but like say in the back of the first, it's hard to see. Well, luckily they're up on risers, and it's much harder to hear back there when you're sitting in the back. When you're in the front, you can hear everybody else very well. So you have to be very flexible. That's, basically what it comes down to.
Okay, my questions are done. I'll open it up. And I'll have to repeat your questions so that everybody can hear on the microphone. And you had a question?
What is the concise difference between a sonata and a concerto?
Concise? Sonata generally... Do you mind if I take this one?
Yeah.
Sonata is generally a much smaller instrumentation, maybe a violin and a piano, whereas a concerto features one instrument with an orchestra as the concise difference. There's an orchestra with a concerto. Who else? Yes.
What does color mean?
That's a good question. Well, there's a definition, I think, in your program notes, if I'm not mistaken. And I hate to read to you just from it, but I think a lot of people would want to know what color means. It's a kind of technique.
The Gregorian chant.
That sounds right.
Back from the Gregorian chanting term.
Sorry, you caught me unprepared.
And he will explain that to the conductor when he comes.
Yeah, a medieval musical technique known as isorhythm. when the repeated melodic patterns, read the program. It's an ancient technique. Yes, sir.
What is the toughest thing about adapting to new conductors? And have you ever had a conductor that you just could not watch?
Oh, many times. Sorry. Oh, I can't mention names. Oh, that has happened. That's the other job of the concertmaster. When you can't follow the conductor, everyone looks to June to lead us through. So, I guess sometimes, you can't read their beats, or a lot of conductors do this. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, you get a 1, 1, 1, 1. So that's a little scary. You just have to count in your head and hope for the best. But it has happened here.
Is he easy to read in this way? Because
he's pretty clear.
He's not one. Oh yeah.
He is. Well, in the color, there's a spot at the end which is quite frightening, actually. You'll see. And it's just the violins. We have a staggered. We each have a different part. Each stand, like 1, 2, 3, and then 1. And we have to play off these rests, and it is a little confusing. And he is really clear. He said in this one spot, okay, at this number, I'll definitely give you a 1, so you all know where you'll be then. Yeah.
She's not naming names. Sorry. Who else would have a question for Erin? I see a waving hand back here. I'm just going to have you ask it, then I'll repeat it on the microphone. How much rehearsal time does the symphony have with the soloist?
Oh, it's a good question. We usually have 2 rehearsals, so a working rehearsal and then the dress rehearsal with the soloist. Sometimes, I think with Hilary Hahn this year, we only had 1 rehearsal, and that was our dress rehearsal. So
how stressful is that?
I know. A little bit. It's okay for us, and I think they're used to it. Maybe some of them just do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Good question. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a great question.
He asked, what is Erin's week like in terms of how much time she spends with the symphony versus other musical engagements?
We usually have 4 to 5 rehearsals per concert. So the rehearsals go in 2.5 hours, and then the concert's usually 3 or 4 every weekend. So it's about 20 hours, 20 to 25 with the orchestra. And then on the side, I do teach privately. I have 9 private students, so hour lessons. And I have the tango group. And last term, I was taking a biology class for credit. It was a little stressful. It was fun, though.
Biology?
Yes. I feel like I need to work the other side of my brain sometimes.
With the hopes of eventually, or just for fun?
You never know. Yeah, I just love studying the body and how it works. And my dad is an engineer, so I think I have that side, the science side there. Yeah.
Yes. He wants to know if Erin has a favorite piece.
I have many. I guess right at this moment, I'm learning the Brahms 3rd Violin Sonata for a recital next month. So that's on my mind right now.
Where are you playing that?
I'm playing it in Bellingham, Washington. I play at a summer festival every summer there, and they have a little chamber series that I play on up there. Yeah.
You're all over the place.
Yeah.
You happened to mention last night during this chat, too, that you played with Pink Martini the last 2 New Year's Eve.
This past New Year's Eve, and then in Disney Hall 2 years ago. Yeah, that was great.
Girls living the high life. Okay. Any other question? Yes. That's a good question.
Yes, it's a very good question.
She wanted to know if Erin ever thinks sometimes about doing something else, and if so, what would that be?
Well, the biology, it occurred to me maybe I could be a physician's assistant or a nurse practitioner because I love working with people and helping people. So that has been on my mind. And recently I've been reading that book, was it Stones into Schools? It's an amazing book. I thought, I need to do something like this maybe with music somehow. So that's been on my mind, too.
I would imagine it wouldn't be either or. You would still continue playing for personal enrichment, please?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay. I would miss it too much. I can't imagine not playing.
Question? Yes.
Oh, my tango band.
Oh, where is your tango band play?
Well, last night we played it over on 60th and Foster, Southeast. There's a tango studio there called Tango Battatin, so we play for dancers there. And then my group, with the Piazzolla music, it's difficult because the bandoneon player lives in San Francisco. So we had to fly him in, and it'll be in the paper the next time we perform. We performed at the Old Church last year, was our last time.
I don't suppose you have the ability when you're out there signing CDs to take email address. Do you have a mailing list or anything?
We do have a mailing list.
Well, there you go.
I suppose I could get that going, yes.
Maybe you have time for one or two more questions before... Oh, I think I see a hand. Yes.
Yes, it definitely is.
The question was reconciling beats across the span of an orchestra. If somebody's sitting in the back of the violins, reconciling a beat with maybe a trumpet player.
Yes, often that's, I'll watch the concertmaster or the conductor. That's but it's like a delayed thing. I know for the trumpets, it's awfully hard for them to know where we're playing. They're sometimes late or early, but they're not sure of where to play. So the conductor, we usually ask him to be extra clear in some of those places. It's a great question.
Is it hard to hear on stage too? Even can the trumpets hear what the violins are doing? Do you know?
Often not at all. No, they just have to watch. Yeah, I often can't hear the basses very well on the other side. Yeah.
And do you think it's a flaw of this hall, or do you think that's just the way orchestras are?
Yeah, after playing in 3 different halls, it's always a problem. Yeah, it's not this hall.
How about one more question? Oh, yes, sir. The question is about the concertmaster apparently playing more flamboyantly than anybody else in the violin section.
Yes, that's so we can all see him very well. It's very good that he does that. Some concertmasters don't move as much, but I really appreciate it. It's really easy to play behind June, and I think everybody can see him pretty well. Yeah.
It's, as an interesting side note, I once did one of these pre-concert chats with Jun Iwasaki and learned that he went to concertmaster school. Like his degree is not just in violin performance, it's actually in concert mastering, where he learns that kind of thing, like how to be a mini conductor from his chair. It's really fascinating, and I hope to get Jun back in this capacity at some point too. I can't tell you how great it's been getting to know you a little bit more, humanizing our orchestra. Right? This is Erin Furbee, our assistant concertmaster. She's going to be out at the Music Millennium table immediately after this chat, selling tango CDs and signing them and signing people up for your mailing list. And I'll see her in chair number 3 in just about half an hour. Thanks for coming, you guys. I appreciate your great questions, too. Thank you.
All right. So you all know where you'll be then. Yeah.
She's not naming names. Sorry. Who else would have a question for Erin? I see a waving hand back here. I'm just going to have you ask it, then I'll repeat it on the microphone. How much rehearsal time does the symphony have with the soloist?
Oh, it's a good question. We usually have 2 rehearsals, so a working rehearsal and then the dress rehearsal with the soloist. Sometimes, I think with Hilary Hahn this year, we only had 1 rehearsal, and that was our dress rehearsal. So
how stressful is that?
I know. A little bit. It's okay for us, and I think they're used to it maybe. Some of them just do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Good question. Yes, sir?
Yeah, it's a great question.
He asked, what is Erin's week like in terms of how much time she spends with the symphony versus other musical engagements?
We usually have 4 to 5 rehearsals per concert. So the rehearsals go in 2.5 hours, and then the concert's usually 3 or 4 every weekend. So it's about 20 hours, 20 to 25 with the orchestra. And then on the side, I do teach privately. I have 9 private students, so hour lessons. And I have the tango group. And last term I was taking a biology class for credit. It was a little stressful. It was fun, though.
Biology.
Yes, I feel like I need to work the other side of my brain sometimes.
With the hopes of eventually, or just for fun?
You never know. Yeah, I just love studying the body and how it works. And my dad is an engineer, so I think I have that side, the science side there. Yeah.
Yes. He wants to know if Erin has a favorite piece.
I have many. I guess right at this moment, I'm learning the Brahms Third Violin Sonata for a recital next month. So that's on my mind right now.